Hi everybody! It's nice to see you again. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Lexi. I love art, music, I love my two cats, I love spicy food, and I love scary movies. I am also the teaching artist for music with Oz Arts School Days. I love my Nashville family too. And thanks to MNPS and Oz Arts, I'm here to share a STEAM activity we can do together. So what's STEAM? You probably know it stands for science, technology, engineering, and they've added arts in the middle of that, and then lastly you have math. But the mission behind STEAM learning is to provide you with the knowledge, the skills, and the experiences that you might need to solve the problems of the 21st century as you move into high school, college, and careers. And one of the ways that we do this is by looking at how different subjects and disciplines can share similar goals and processes, like science and the arts, for example, which is what we'll be working with today. So for our activity today, I'll be showing you how to make paper mache clay and some of the interesting things that you can do with sculpture. So let's talk about sculptural art and the purpose and history behind it. Sculpture is the term used to describe three-dimensional artworks. Traditionally, sculpture was created using permanent materials such as stone, metal, clay, ceramics, or wood, although works made from durable materials such as stone were more likely to survive over time, whereas sculptures made of wood such as totem poles were less likely to survive. Contemporary sculpture can be made from any kind of material like stone, metal, light, sound, found objects, people, or even the site or the building itself. Sculptural forms can be found in many cultures dating back to prehistoric times, which is pretty cool. And sculpture was used to portray different and relevant aspects of many cultures like religious figures, inspirational people, specific concepts like love, nature, and society and how it works. We are actually going to make a sculpture using paper mache as our medium. Paper mache is a sculpture medium made up of tiny pieces of paper that have been bound by an adhesive paste. Paper mache actually originates from China, the inventors of paper themselves. They used to make paper mache and use it to create helmets, which they toughened by adding many layers of lacquer to give it hardness to protect people's heads. Examples have been found dating back to the Han Dynasty. From China, the interest in paper mache grew and spread to Japan and Persia, where it was used in mask making and in festival activities. Eventually, it spread across the world. So today, there are two popular and predominant methods that people use to create paper mache creations. For the first technique, the sculptor glues together long, narrow strips of paper that are usually laid or layered on top of some sort of frame, like cardboard or a tin foil, or even more paper mache. For the second technique, the sculptor creates a pulp by boiling or soaking bits of paper joined by water. The mixture can then be molded like clay, and it's held together by a binding agent such as flour and water, or even like man-made glue or adhesives. Flour and water paste is the adhesive in paper mache, which is used for many different types of art projects. The proteins in milk and gelatin and the starch in flour and glue are all the chemicals that have good characteristics for stickiness. But what makes adhesives and binding agents sticky in the first place? So, any guesses? Anybody know? What do you think? I'll wait. Okay, well, since you have no idea, adhesives contain long chains of protein molecules that bond with the molecules of the surface they are spread upon by entering the pores and spaces of the material. When liquid is added to an adhesive, it becomes glue, and when the glue dries over a surface, it hardens, causing the molecules to stick together. That's what helps to make paper mache paper mache. So I have two methods of my own I'd like to show you. You can use these methods together, but I just wanted to show you the two different ways that they're very distinct and you get these very different types of textures. It's really cool. The first one is for the chunky recipe, and then the second one is for like a smooth kind of paper mache clay that can also be used almost like a paste to cover something. So let's get into it. So for the first recipe, the chunky recipe, you will need shredded or finely ripped pieces of scrap paper, flour. It doesn't matter if it's self-rising or not, as long as it's some sort of glutinous flour, some salt, PVA glue, which is optional, but if you're not sure what PVA glue is, you can buy Elmer's brand of washable glue. It's the white glue, but you can also buy the clear kind. You'll also need hot water, so you'll need access to a sink. And then as far as the supplies for making the craft, you'll need a mixing bowl, some sort of spoon, and you'll also need some sort of way to shred your paper or like to mix everything. So you can either use a hand mixer, like the kind that you would use for baking and like blending flour together to blend your paste together. You could also use your hands, but for the second method, for the paper mache clay that's more of like a smooth texture, you'll need that hand blender to kind of make that toilet tissue that we're going to use into a pulp. So to give you some context, for the second method, which is more of a smooth type of paper mache, you will actually need 1 cup of damp/wet toilet paper, mostly damp, not too wet. You'll also need 1/2 cup of PVA glue or Elmer's glue, and then you'll need 2/3 cup of drywall joint compound, which is kind of like a bonding agent. You can literally use any brand but DAP or DAP. Basically, if you use DAP, it has some sort of element that turns it into a rubber substance, and that's not good for your blender. Trust me, I know. Now you're going to take all this paper and you're going to shred it up a little bit so it makes it easier for the bullet blender. And then you're just going to chop it up just a little bit. It works best for me if I just do it in spurts, like 1, 2, 3. Shake it up a little bit so you get new pieces. You'll know that it's right whenever it looks like coconut shavings. All right, so now that you've made the clay or the paste, I'd like to task you to get creative and make your own sculpture. Something that imitates an element, animal, or process in nature. That could be a sculpture of a tree in different seasons, the structure of an atom just enlarged like by 1,000, 1,000,000, an animal's life cycle, for an example, or what the inside of a geode looks like inside out, something like that. So if you're stuck, I'll show you some examples. Check it out. So I hope you guys have enjoyed getting creative and crafty today with sculpture and paper mache. I encourage you to keep building and creating, to find new ways to interact with the world and to share about it so that we can see all the amazing things that you can do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.